Okay, so to save just a little bit of time, um, I went ahead and cut the wires that we don't need, uh, and I cut the ones down that we are going to need and stripped them. And I already tinned them, except for this one, so I can show you how it's done. Um, Once you strip the wire off, you need to just twist it a little bit, make sure all the strands are together, and then I dip it. I don't use the liquid flux. Let me turn this a little bit. Okay, I don't use liquid flux. I use the paste. It doesn't have lead in it, and reason why um, you'll see here in a minute. But I just dip the ends in. And this one I've stripped a little bit longer because it's the ground. And I'm going to be wrapping it around. So that's ready to be tinned right there. But the secret to, if you've not soldered much, is having a good clean tip, and it needs to be tinned. And you can see how mine is all silver, and that tip is probably 30 years old. Now you can go get this is a 60 watt soldering gun. I couldn't think, and my mind went blank, sorry. But anyways, you can buy just like a pencil type thing. This one's got it's got the whole thing with it, so you got a place to stick this and not have to worry about it touching anything. You don't have to have a sponge. A lot of people have sponges. What I went to Radio Shack and I got this whole thing for $9.99. You can get them online. I forget what they call these, but it's like one of your scrubbers that you use on pots and pans, except this one is copper. And I take and while it's hot, put it down in there like that on some flux, and then do it like that, and it's got it all nice and clean, ready to go. And as long as that thing, I do this about every time, and I also do it before I put it up, and that way it stays tinned, it doesn't oxidize. And on this fine wiring, even though this is a 60 watt, it's pretty hot for it. Because I keep it tinned, it does it so fast that it don't hurt it. Especially on LED lights. LED lights do not like heat at all. And so I've got just a little bit of solder on the end of it there. And I've already got the flux on there, which makes it flow really good. And you can just go right out through there like that. And that's it. It's done. And then I take and put that thing in there and get the excess off that way instead of having a wet sponge and all that. And but you can see maybe it's really nice in silver. And you want to use flux, because if you don't, it takes more to heat it up it's going to bead up on you. And a lot of times it'll just fall right off. The solder will fall right off. But if you put some flux on it and then just barely touch it, it just makes it flow all the way through and makes a nice clean tin. So then you're ready to roll. But I've already done the other ones. And so next thing we want to do is, this is the top clip. And on your wires on this particular deal, you got a green and a violet, two on the end right there, 1, 2, and they're not used on just a 2-function decoder. Some people completely unhook them. I don't. I leave them in case I ever want to change decoders. I can just strip it and use them. I just set this on top of the motor and measured what I needed and cut it off, and already tinned these. The other wire we're not going to be using, I cut it off too, is the yellow. Yellow is for your rear lights. This particular one doesn't have it, but I've left it there in case I ever want to use it again. Blue and white. Blue is the common. On your LEDs, it's the positive common, and white is the front headlight. So we're going to hook both of them to the one front headlight, and that way we only have to use one resistor. But I laid it out on the motor and measured about where I needed it at. So here's the bottom clip. The big loop goes toward the front where the bushing, or where the brush and the spring is. And a lot of people in these videos, they'll solder it right in here on this tip. Well, I don't. I come back here in between where the two tabs meet, the one that I cut off and the one that I left in, and I do mine right there, because that wire comes up from the bottom, and right here in the front is your armature. And if that wire's too loose, it could catch on that armature and tear a hole in it. So I do it in the middle, and then that way it comes up the side and you don't have to worry about it getting caught. But I've already cleaned these up, and I just took my Dream On and went over them. Use that, acts like a heat shrink. It helps absorb the heat. And take your toothpick, get your little flux, and put right there where that's at. And the easiest way to do this is to go ahead and put you some solder right on there before you put the wire to it. Now I've already got a ball on there, so when we get ready to hook the wire, just heat that back up and stick the wire in it. I won't need no extra solder to do that with. And on this particular, well, all these decoders are done the same. And you got a paper right here that comes with it that tells you everything. And the gray is the negative on the motor, which means it's the ground. So just gonna heat it up, stick my wire right down in there. Had flattened it out good. And that's the bottom one. So now we need to take the motor. The bottom is, like I said before, where the motor mounts go. And get the brush. Remember, it's got a little, like a little saddle shape, and you want to turn it where the whole thing goes flat down against the motor. Have to kind of get my light to make sure it's in there right. Yep, it's flat. And then we got to put our spring back in. Like so. You can see it sticking up there. You take the back part and it clips over right there, and then push the front back in place and just clip it down. Then you can bring your wire up right there, and it's not in the way of your armature. So then your front ones are, well, you can go ahead and set it up. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and solder it on here. I don't want it on there. Too much heat. Okay. Just line it up the way I want the plug to be. Alright, so your orange is your hot. So it'll go to the top side. So we'll go ahead and get this one set up and get it ready. Put a little flux on there. Move this green one up out of the way. The red one up out of the way. And I'm just going to heat that up. I didn't get it heated good enough. There we go. Put that back over there while we get this one on. Okay. Get my bushing. Got the saddle turned. It's turned the right way, it's all up against it. Get my other spring. And drop it in. And take, hook the back. Get over the front and push it down, and it will fall right back into place. There's like 4 little tabs right there that guide that to make sure it's, you know, keeps it from sliding side to side. But when you do this, if you watch these videos where these guys do this, if you'll watch it and look really close, when they put the heat to it, this thing bends and it actually goes up just a little bit. And so soldering them while they're on here is the worst thing you can do. Okay. So we're actually ready at this point in time to put the motor mounts on it and put that thing back into place and get the wheels on it. I just bring the wire up between the two things, and then when I put this on, it's got the wire and it holds it right in place right there for you. Put the other one on, and I'd put while I was in pause there, I went ahead and put a second coat of the liquid tape on there and let it dry real good. And if you go this way, you're going to notice that the motor's too far forward. So you know that the armature goes toward the front, which is right here by the beveled ends and the ground on these sticking up. Now these are tight because they're new. So you just start squeezing it in, and you will rock it back and forth. This one side's trying to go in, but the other one of the clips is catching on it there. This is why my videos are longer, because these guys doing these other ones, they're not telling you. They make it look like they just stuck it right on there and no problem. You can see I've just about got them in there. They kind of need to be all four of them flush. Kind of like that right there. And that's got that one in there. Okay. So the next thing is going to take the wheel set. This is the rear one. Make sure that where your gear is going to get is toward the rear of this one. Just push that over where you can get up there like that. And set her down. Your gear. Get your washer first. Put it on first. And then get your bearing. Slide it on. Like I said before, I don't know if you can really see it or not. There's a notch right there that sticks up, and this end's going to have a place for it to, a slot for it to slide into. Get it where I can see it. They're straight up. It slides in just that easy. and there's slots. There's slots right here, and that you'll have to turn your bearings square so they just slide down in there. Once you get them square, they fall right down in there. Okay, before you put the top on it, put your little grease on your gear. Won't take a whole lot. And then take your oil on the back side, put just a little bit on that bearing, and on the front side put just a little bit on that. It don't take much, just a little. Then you take your cap, these go toward the motor, and it just flips right back on. There's a slot on each side, just pops right down. So that side's in. Same thing, place for the bearing toward the front of it. I'm just spinning where that slot's straight up and down. Makes it easier for me. Get my washer. And my bearing. Spin that straight up. And it just slides right in. Line my bearings up. Push it down. Same thing, just a little grease. When I say a little grease, now I'm talking about this label. It doesn't take much of it. Other kinds of grease, I've tried different ones. Some of them take more than others, but this has it's made with this PTFE, and it makes it really slick. So it don't take much, and it lasts for a pretty good while. Get your oil, same way, front bearing, back bearing. And my other cap. You know, it flew off yesterday in the video, and I forgot to look for it. Okay, I'm going to pause this just a minute and let me find it. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I finally found it. It landed over here in a tray that I've got some parts for, so it landed in a good place. Anyway, this is the same way as that one. Face it toward the engine. Set it right down over top of it. Clip one side and then the other. She's back together. Now, we're ready to proceed. So the red wire goes to the right side, which is called the engineer pickup side. And on this particular one, the left side is them lower tabs that were underneath there, and it touches the bar that these are sitting on right there, and it grounds the whole frame. So that makes that the ground, but this and that is hot. So we'll go ahead and put a little flux right here, and we'll go ahead and get a little solder on this one and this one both. And get them ready. And I'm just going to heat it up good. And heat this one up. Got me a nice little ball on both sides. Getting some of that flux up. But you can see I got my two balls on there ready to go. So what I did was the red wire, of course, goes to the hot. So I cut it off and I went ahead and stripped these. I done got them tinned, and that one reaches from front to the back one. So what we're going to do is on the front one here, we're going to twist these two together. And then we're going to heat that ball up. And let that melt down just like that. Now the reason why I went ahead and used this wire, because if you use too thick a wire to run from here to here, you're going to run into a problem with not being able to turn your trucks very well. So this wire is good and thin. It's easy to work with. So I just run it down one side, heat the back up. That's connected. Got just enough slack in it. Don't have to have much, but we got enough slack in it that it's not a problem if they turn. And that's what you want. Okay. So the next one we're going to do, let me put this soldering iron over here for a minute. As I've cut that wire long to go to the ground, and there's a couple slits in it there. So I just put it through like that. just kind of twist it around. Take a little flux and helps if you got something to kind of hold it up, since you're right on the top of it. And just heat her up. Let that ball set in there. And now you're gonna put your soldering gun away for right now. So make sure you clean it good. Keep it tinned. That wire is good and tight. If you use too much wire, because you don't have to worry about that and having to give, you can just fold it up a little bit. And we'll take some tape here in a minute and tape any excess up and hold it in place. So now the only thing left to do is the blue and the white for the front headlight, and I'm going to make that on a different video. We'll make it part 3 because I don't want this video to go extremely long. But anyways, right there you can actually put the chip on it and set it on the track and it will take off. But we're gonna do all that in number 3, and I'll try to have as much like wire stripped as I can for them to have them kind of measured out, and then I'll show you how to do it just to save a little bit of time. We're gonna have to file our lights down some because that's 5mm and it's just a tad big for fitting through there. This thing didn't have any lenses in it. As far as I know, they didn't even come with them, but we can file that down quite a bit as long as you don't hit the light, and then we can file it around the sides just a little bit. It won't take much for it to fit in, and we're just going to make that our lens. So anyway, so look for part 3, and I'll try to get it out as quick as I can and go from there. If you like what you see, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and when the next one comes out, you'll know it. I'll also put a thing up in their corner for part 1, taking it apart, cleaning it, and getting it back to ready for DCC. Guess I got too many lights. It's not doing real good. So I have to go to the Talladega race this weekend, so I don't know if I'll get the LED one out before I have to leave. If I can, I will. So, and then I got a granddaughter here that's dying for me to finish this video up so she can use my iPad. So I don't know if I'm going to get it back away from her, because she's going to be staying with us 2 or 3 days. And anyways, thank you all for all the subscribers. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me at barnfulloftrains@gmail.com, and that's the best place to make sure I get an answer. So anyway, just look for part 3. Talk to you later.